Hello, everybody. Welcome to Barcamp Nashville 2013 Speaker Up. My name is Joe Smith. My company is Art Dude Creative, and I'm a designer and a developer. And when called upon, I'm also underdog. Which is also the chairman of the Unconference.
Oh, where is my underdoggy?
Is that sweet?
Well, there's nothing to fear.
No, there is absolutely nothing to fear. What you say is an unconference. An unconference is a free, self-organized, user-generated event for sharing knowledge. And in Nashville, our knowledge base, our technical knowledge base, which is what Barcamp is about, technology, is formidable. And we should all be very proud. Aren't we all proud of Nashville's technology? And the things that are happening? I believe that Barcamp and PodCamp have had a whole lot to do with that, with Nashville's coming emergence in technology. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give us some unconference principles. Hopefully you will all remember unconference. When you prepare to do your session. First of all, a session at an unconference, like Barcamp, is not a self-promotion. It's not an advertisement. It is a community event and you're sharing your things. So, with that in mind, there's the three-word introduction. It's your name, company, and your title. And make a slide of that if you want, for sure, because we want to know who you are, and then make the content of your event, of your session, about the knowledge that you're going to share. Cool. Okay, another principle is that we want you to leave at least 10 minutes at the end of your session to talk about, to allow for questions and answers, which is a very unconference thing to do, because it involves the community. And then lastly, in terms of the unconference principles for your session, there is a law of 2 feet. And within a conference, within your session, everybody has the right to use their 2 feet to move on to a different session if they choose. Okay? So participants do that. Now, in the spirit of the unconference, the crew, the planning crew for the 2013 Barcamp in Nashville has chosen to make a strategic and somewhat controversial decision about how sessions are chosen. Traditionally in Nashville, what we've done with the Nashville Barcamp is we've taken all of the sessions that are put into the system, that are created, and we are looking at the fact that this year there are potentially 48 spaces. And I know you are going to come up with a lot more than 48, because traditionally you have come up with a lot more than 48. And then what we've done typically is we've chosen them randomly. And actually taken a bingo barrel and rolled it around and reached in and taken the sessions out of the bingo barrel and announced them and tweeted about them. And that was, we were called it speaker draw. And so this year what we've decided to do is to make it much more unconference-like by voting the morning and the day of the event. We want the choice of what sessions are put onto the schedule to be your choices, the community's choices, and not a bingo barrel's choices. Okay, so that's very unconference. So either way, Barcamp Nashville 2013 is going to start with a bang, and we're really excited about how that's going to go. And we've been planning for it, and one person in particular has been taking up most of the planning for that, and that's Mr. Bart Renner. We're going to take a few minutes before we have a panel come up here and we do some very specifics about session creation and session planning and presentation. And we're going to let Bart answer a couple of your questions, in regards to the new open schedule format that we're going to have.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, first, before I open the floor to questions, I want to say that we as a crew, we started the year talking about how we want to change up the way that we have done Barcamp. And the focus was always, in all of our crew meetings, was on how we didn't feel like the way that we had been running things truly represented what Nashville had to offer. We wanted to tap back. We wanted to give the community the opportunity to take the reins of Barcamp. Now, we didn't want to include everybody in the planning process because that's a massive nightmare. But we really wanted to allow a day of the people who are at the conference, the unconference, to participate in selecting who they wanted to hear, what they felt was important to them, and to build their own knowledge bank out of the existing one and have it again. So the way that it will, should I go into some specifics about how it will work? Sure. Okay, so the way that it will work
here.
Real short?
Real short.
Okay, so the way that it will work is that we will take all of the sessions that are proposed during the session, the entry period, and they will all be available if the speaker is there to be voted on, and those who receive the most votes will be placed within the session grid on the day or on the fly. It will be a nightmare for me, but it'll be great for you. And so, and it looks like we will do two rounds of voting, one in the morning and one in the afternoon at lunchtime, so that the speakers' representatives who feel like the people who are actually there at that moment. We're going to do our best to, we're scheming a technology solution to be able to actually vote on that, and geofencing and unique alphanumeric identity codes so that we can keep it true. You can't break it in any way outside. There should be no way to break the code and be able to vote, get all your friends to vote if they're not there. We want this to really be the community who is coming together to be the ones that set this thing. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I am ready and willing.
No questions?
I have a quick question. I have a quick question. I do. How many people in this room have been previously to a Barcamp Nashville event? Raise your hands, please. Wow, good, excellent. How many people have been to a Barcamp event in a city other than Nashville? Raise your hands, please. Aha! Aha! All right. I have some very exciting news for those of you who raise your hands first. Unfortunately, I don't think you've ever had a real Barcamp experience. And that's what Mark's trying to impart to us right now. And that is, there is a unique thing that happens when things are not planned. Why it is called an unconference, why we go against the grain. Part of it is because of the excitement and the things that can happen when you allow that to occur. It may not have been true in the past, we may not have been certain that we couldn't do this, but right now we are certain that the national community can support this. We have strong speakers, we have people who are knowledgeable in their fields, we can talk about controversial subjects, we can bring the most current things to share with and to bring the rest of us up. That's what we're hoping to do. I'm hoping you're going to be excited about it. And now if you have any more questions for Barton.
Yeah.
This might be stating the obvious, but so if you're a speaker and you put your name in the hat to speak, if you need to come prepared to speak, whether you speak or not, you're going to need to be organized, ready to go, ready to present, and you might not have the opportunity to speak, but you just won't know.
Yes, and that's a part of the I guess we'll call it that. The magic of it, because if you are going to come and speak, we have the depth of knowledge and the breadth of knowledge in this community is tremendous. And if you're coming to speak and you're unwilling to prepare, if you're not going to be guaranteed, then it's not a particularly unconference thing. And so what we want to do is we want to encourage those who have that knowledge base in our community to share and be willing to come and prepare and speak from their own depth of knowledge. Yes.
Or you still going to do multiple tracks?
Explain.
Unless I'm confused. It's usually like a newbie track, an enhanced track, a filler track, that kind of thing, or there's a different track. Or it's kind of like.
The way that it will work is that each session each session submission will be able to be tagged to categories. And so you'll be able to filter your preference based on category and be able to select or to vote for the sessions according to your own taste and your own needs and what you want. And so you can actually, by voting and by the group voting, you can map your own track through of what you are interested in and which one to follow. And we will have sets of sessions that are all being held at the same time, so you may have to make a difficult decision to which session to go to first and which session to go to second, and to use that log to feed. But that's what's fun about it. You get to each vote to live, and you get to move around and get a lot of people. Any other questions?
How will the times be determined?
It will be determined based on size, number of votes, indicating the size of room that will be needed. And we'll have one big room, one medium-sized room, and a slew of smaller rooms. And so the timing will be determined based on speaker availability, morning or afternoon, and the size of the response and what the anticipated crowd will be. And so we accommodate best. And then once we have accommodated for size, then we filter for category content so that we can try to make it as evenly spread as possible so that we don't have all of the front-end development sessions all at once. Yeah, one more?
Have you decided on speaking block time, like 50 minutes?
Yes, I believe, is this confirmed that it's correct, Jeff?
Yes.
That it's 20 minutes?
Is it? No. How long is the session? Chuck? 35.
35 minutes, that's right, 35 minutes, so, and make sure that you have 25 to, and make sure that you have 25 minutes to speak with, right?
There's a lot of people that talk that way.
Yeah. One more question, Corey.
What equipment do you have access to for your presentation? What do you have to bring? What do you
That is a question for the speaker Butler.
Let me take this opportunity to introduce Melanie, our speaker Butler. Maybe you could answer that question.
Mr. Barrett, yay!
And I was busy tweeting, so what was the question?
For the speakers, what equipment do they need to bring? What do they have access to? If they're doing like a presentation, they just need to plug something in.
They're going to need to plug something in, obviously. As far as I understand,
Nice and loud so that the people at home can hear us because we're recording everything.
you will need to bring your laptop. From what I understand, you will have all the equipment that you need on that. Adapter, and here's a question, can they bring just a memory stick?
No.
No. So, you need to bring your own laptop and bring an adapter to make sure that it will integrate properly with our equipment. VGA? Technical.
Very good. Thank you, Melanie, for your speaker proving once again that no good deed goes unpunished. And now I'd like to ask our volunteer panelists to come up to be part of our...
Ladies and gentlemen, Bayer's son. Woo!
And to make quick introductions, in order for this, I also wanted to take an opportunity to introduce Yahweh Dia, who is from the Mayor's Office of Innovation. Former Mayor of Palo Alto, and so please be sure and say hello. And also an encourager of not only innovation but on conferences. And so, and is looking forward to seeing this Barcamp this year. Definitely. Will you be joining us? Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Lisa French, representative of the Women's Programming Group here in Nashville, so to make sure that we don't look like the Republican Health Committee, and her excellent representation here, and hopefully have more of that. Jackson Miller, those of you who are familiar with Jackson may know him, Big Data, and Dave Baranja needs no introduction really. But I would like to welcome our panel, and we'll take this opportunity to go. If the panelists have a chance to speak, would like to make the first few comments. happy to do that. And then, please, if you have the most important thing at a real unconference is active heckling. I'm hoping that there will be more active heckling. And so this is an opportunity to practice and more engagement with the audience. That's exactly how it works. And so this is how we'd like to, in fact, hopefully encourage everyone. Dave, you want to start? It's up to you.
I'm actually web developer for the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum, and I've got like 15 years of front end and back end web development experience with marketing. You name it, I've done it before. To answer your question about what do you need to bring, you're doing a presentation and you need to do it on an iPad, you make sure you have your dongle that you can plug into the projector. Basically, you also want to make sure that you can do it without an internet connection, because with 500 other people, there's an odd that even though you might have your own network, you might not, but the idea is you prepare for everything to go crash and burn, you might have to just stand in front of everybody. That's my recommendation.
If I had to say what you bring to Barcamp, I think it needs to be a big idea. I think there's two kinds of presentations that we see at Barcamp. There are workshops where you're going to leave knowing how to do something that you didn't know before and you could have learned from a book. And there are presentations that are going to give you something to think about that you've never thought about before. That are not about what you did last year, they're about what you're working on now. They're about what you're trying to do next year. So if you want to speak at Barcamp, I think the best thing to do is come up with that half-baked idea, that shit you haven't figured out yet, and figure it out with your group. Tell us what you're working on. For instance, right now, I'm trying to clone myself. I'm trying to figure out how I can take little pieces and little automated processes and put them off on the cloud so that they're working for me, and literally trying to clone myself one tiny piece at a time. That'd be a neat talk. Come up with some big ideas shit like that.
I'm going to echo that because I think it's critically important that we raise the bar. And that means raise the bar individually and challenge yourselves. Those of you who are thinking about speaking, answer these questions. Is it current? Is it something that you have discovered or you have found a problem with that you're currently working on? Or is it current in terms of MiiRia has been reporting on it? Is it current in terms of it has been another issue for other Barcamps? Believe it or not, we don't necessarily live in a very closed universe here. If you were to Google Barcamp, you might find Boston, for example, is going to have their Barcamp a little bit later this month. They've been doing it for about this will be the 8th year now. And they have always done a true unconference Barcamp where it is actually, well, they started out by throwing beer bottles at each other to see who would speak. But it is really an exceptional conference and has some great ideas if you'd like to see what their titles and topics are. But again, from the entire gamut can span from, and really Barcamp is composed, those people who show up here, of technological folks, developers, programmers, engineers, and a good another half of folks are probably in the marketing side, communications, scientists, sociologists, people who are advertisers responsible for working with technologists. And the real benefit of Barcamps in the past has been the technology and communications coming together to discover some really exciting things. It is a great networking opportunity too. So I'm going to encourage you to really challenge each other, challenge yourselves, and then let's talk about it as well. So don't do this in a vacuum. Melanie will be available as a speaker butler to make those connections, to help you bring people together. You might want to work together. Panels are a great idea. Bringing in experts if you have your clients, if you'd like to involve them as well. I'd like to see some of the people from the large companies show up, and I'd like to see lots of entrepreneurship this year. That's it. Oh, and I would also encourage you to reach out. Maybe we can get some people who haven't normally come to Barcamp to come, or those who have come in the past to give it a second try.
Also, to echo what Bear said, I encourage you to go ahead and put yourself out there and speak. I was social media marketing type this time last year, and I was working with the Barcamp crew, and there was just one session I got to go to, and it was about the software school. things it'll do for the community.
Yes, and especially if you're a female programmer, that'd be good too. Now, we had a couple of people who couldn't be here this evening, but they're going to be joining us via video. I'd like to, if I may, direct your attention to the large screen up here. Some of you will have to sort of pivot to see it. But the first person who will be speaking to us is Marcus Whitney from Moon Toast.
Hey, what's up? This is Marcus. Hello, Barcamp. Speaker up. Just wanted to encourage everyone to remember that Barcamp is all about inspiration and, following what is, the momentum right now. So go there, have a good time, talk to people, be inspired to share something that you know with somebody else, and just don't worry so much about, structure and details and stuff like that, because what makes Barcamp great is people and everyone showing up and moving in and coming every single year. So just go there, contribute, be part of it, and have a good time. Peace.
Speaker up group. It is 5:10 a.m. in the morning. I'm working all night. I'm Michael Solomon. So I wanted to share some fingertips with you. Bayard asked me to put this together. A couple things. One, I just wanted to touch base on a few things that I think will help you. One, a lot of people go to Barcamp and they are there to kind of grandstand and make themselves look more awesome. It's easy to spot those people, and more importantly, that's kind of not the spirit of everything. So if you're thinking about doing that, that can be a nice benefit, but I'll actually encourage you to switch up a little bit. The whole point is to go there and learn. And if you are one of the few who can teach others, then it's a great quid pro quo. Think about it. You want to learn from somebody who knows their stuff. You want to learn from somebody who's passionate about it so you can continue the conversation. And you want someone to put in the effort to make sure that when you do attend their session, that the information is good and well delivered, well thought out, well structured, is interesting. So if you think about all the energy that you expect out of the things that you want to learn, well, then that would be the same degree of what you want to put into it. And so for me, as somebody who has spoke at many bar camps here in Nashville, what I often did was think about something that I was really passionate about, something that I often found myself talking to others about throughout the year, educating them, having kind of two-way dialogue, and that is what I decided to speak about. So I was in the middle of a phone transition between BlackBerry, Android, and iPhone. So I spoke on that and spoke at length about the different platforms. So just things like that, and they'll come to you. Beyond that, there are a lot of mechanical things that I would tell you to go through. I put 3 articles in here for you. The first is, how to have a good time while still speaking. The next is 10 ways to present well at a conference. That one goes deep, and so does the last one in terms of the 12 speaking tips. If you want to be a rock star, that is, you'll go through all 3 of those. So you'll see that on this page, if you do that, at the bottom, I put that little image of an explosion. And I did that because if you're really ready to blow stuff up, there is a TED Talk by Nancy Duarte, and she speaks about what all great topics or speeches have in common. From I Have a Dream to others. Last, if you aren't able to attend the speaker up, that's okay. Because someone was smart enough last year to record the 2012 speaker up, about an hour long, so settle in. But there's a lot of good topics. There's 3 panelists there that really speak at length about a lot of things that you can expect. So that would be something that you can watch as well. If you're at the speaker up tonight, the last thing I'll just tell you is at the bottom of this talk, I put together a bunch of general tips to achieve an amazing bar camp, and one in particular that I think comes up every year is bring something to tether your Wi-Fi if you can, because it seems to be always unstable. So I say, Santa's not real, neither is stable Wi-Fi at bar camp. So outside of that, bar camp's a great place for you to practice your speaking skills It's a great place for you to share knowledge, and always kind of come back to whatever you would expect to receive, that's what you should expect to get. And so put in your, put in your topic, put in the work to make sure that you're ready to speak on. And I think at this year's bar camp, it's not going to be as formal. So one small tip is that in the past, when there was a huge group of people applying for a limited number of slots, you got chosen, it was kind of a big deal. You put quite a bit of work into the slides and all that stuff. Because you don't know who's speaking when, etc., I really encourage you to go really lightweight on your slides. There's a method called Takahashi method. It was put together. It was a presentation style that kind of came up. An engineer came up with it. It's a white slide with black text on it, and it's a really easy way for you to put your slides together to help you stay on track, but also not spend a ton of time designing. So, hope everything is well. If you have any other questions, let me know. You can contact me with the information below. Otherwise, good luck, guys. Hey, what's up, Barcamp?
Well, now the page that he's referring to can be reached at bit.ly/BCN13 Holland. There's a bigger URL here, but as he was saying, he's made a page that has not only that information, but his photos from previous years, tips on presenting, public speaking tips, the entire recording of last year's Speaker Up, and of course the YouTube talk from Nancy Duarte, and then additional tips and comments. That's again bit.ly /BCN13 just Holland. And we'll have this link and other links on the BCN website for all the speakers who are going to be preparing their sessions coming up. We've had some other folks who were anxious to join us, including Lucas Henderson. I don't know if you're familiar with Lucas, but he did an exceptional presentation, similar to Nick's at the last Barcamp, which was also very much extemporaneous. But I think it helped, he said, because he liked it so much more because it really forced him to engage with the audience, and people were much more interested. He also got a lot more from it. So there's two things that you can do in a speaking session. One, if you're an audience, vote with your feet, as Dave Delaney says. Stand up and walk if you don't like it. Go to another session. That's one of the most important things, actually, very cool about Barcamp. And then also, not only be voting with your feet, but be very vocal. Participate. Hopefully this will be back and forth sessions among people.